Next up is going to be the cool white Mr. Color GX or GX1. This of course replaces all the black with white. Since we have the gold done, now we're doing this first. And there's a reason why I'm doing this first, because the gray parts that I'm going to do, certain parts going to need to be masked. But for now, let's start with this guy. I've thinned this down and tested it out. And I also lowered the PSIs just a tad. I'm just going to give it a light base first, and then give it another coating over it once I move things around. I just want to give that light base first. Here we go with this. For smaller parts, I'm going to just go all out a bit. Now this is a good example of one of the parts that I may have to mask. You see this little notch there in front? That needs to be masked and painted separately. Here, let me work on this one right here. The bigger parts I don't want to waste too much time, just give it a overall, a standard pass. And then I'll revisit it later on once it dries up a bit. But again, for the smaller parts, something like this, that's easy. I don't have to revisit that. Same holds true for this, the head. This one can be just one pass there. There. I'll revisit it later on. There's a quick one right here. This one's the most important one, which I did put a lot of effort in sanding this down and getting rid of the seam lines. Yes, you can put, of course, putty to close up the seam lines, but I did a pretty good job on this. Would be fine. This one, okay. I think this needs to be masked around, so that one needs to be covered, painted. The other color trim. What else? This part as well. Let me take care of the small little guys here, just up to there. Oh, I ran out. Alright, so far so good. we're doing okay with this. Thinning this is pretty easy and straightforward, but I got a lot of other parts here that needs to be taken care of. And then once I'm satisfied, once it dries a bit, I'll give it a second coat, and then I'll top coat it to protect the white. And then I will begin the masking, and we'll go on to the next color, which will be gray. Alright, so here are all the parts fully painted. That makes up the Schwartzritter Gundam, but in Cathedral colors. Now, I apologize, I decided not to record me painting the gray or the pinkish red, because the pinkish red is kind of like only 3 pieces. You guys don't need to see that. The gray, I used 306 gray, which technically speaking it is very, very close to this, to the one-shot primer. So for me to repaint that same color over didn't look right on camera. So I said, you know, let me just go through it, each and every one of them, get them done, wait until they dry and whatnot. The gold, of course, is completed, as you can see all here. The whites are here, the grays are here, and then the minute parts of red over there. Now I did a little bit of detailing. We'll begin with this one. I had to put assemble this already because it was already hard to do. And I don't know if you guys can see this on camera. Actually, let me do oh, here it is. I was looking at it the wrong way. How am I going to hold this? Actually, let me just use him to be steady. And then we'll just do a nice little zoom. There we go. So I painted the eyes. Two more, sorry. I'm sorry if I'm doing this way because the lighting is not pretty good here for some odd reason. I've changed my bulbs. Not the lights in on the table, but more on the in the room itself. So I painted the eyes and I shoved that in there, the mouth guard, because that thing is very, very tough to put it in. And I said, you know what, let me get that out of the way, because since these were small parts, I didn't want to lose these parts, you know? So I got those out of the way. Now, I was going to mask, and I began masking this parts, the gold parts, so I can paint the gray that you see in there. It didn't come out well because there's a little bit left over. I believe I have a gray marker. No, that's a metallic marker. I believe I do, so I'm going to see if I can carefully paint the edges that I missed. I'll have to look for it. I know I do. I have to find that. Or I could use. Hold on a second. Now, I should have prepared this in another way. I masked that off to paint, but I was like, damn it, what the hell is it? Oh. I said to myself, darn it, masking that was easy, but the other ones would have been tough for me to mask. So I began to do things that I don't normally do. I hand brushed. Since I had the gray still in the reservoir and it was already pre-thinned, I used these testers brushes applications, which is good for glue applications, but I used this. It's a little stiff though. I wish I should have used a thinner one. And I painted the edges there for that. You will see this closely when I do a close-up. I did this one here. I don't know if you can see that. And more importantly, I did these. But I think I goofed up on one. So yeah. Yeah, I think in reality I should have foresaw this and not use enamel, lacquer-based gray. I should have used the like a Vallejo gray water-based, because then it will be easy for me to wipe off. Didn't think about that. And it was like at the last minute ad hoc type thing, so it looks okay. But regardless, that's done. That's done. These two are done, these two are done, and these two are done. I was going to do the gray trim here, but I said, you know what, I'm going to leave that alone. That's no big deal. Some parts I didn't paint according to what I saw in the Cathedral Schwartzritter picture that I showed you in the beginning. I'll do a side-by-side comparison again so you guys can see it. And you know, towards the end of this build. So some parts I didn't do. You know, I didn't paint it, like one part that goes into the chest. This part here, there's a part that goes there that's white. I turned it gray. This part here that holds up the vents, that's actually white. I turned it gray as well. So it was actually white, but I turned it gray. Yeah, just some slight variations. But the white came out really nice and very, very cool, as the name suggested in the paint. I never had problems with Mr. Color paints. You know, as long as you use it, if it's done properly and it's done right, you'll never go wrong with it. And the gold, of course, came out well. You just got to really learn how to thin it down and then apply it accordingly. This airbrush did a pretty good job. You know, you just got to, of course, once you're done, clean it, which I got to do in a few moments. And then now it's a little bit easier for me to work around on my table. One final note before I begin assembly. I lost a part. This should have been done a day or two ago, for those of you who aren't seeing this video right now. I was hoping to get it done before the weekend, but that goddamn stupid reason, I don't know where the hell this thing went. Oh, God. I'm now starting to be a little stressed out. Because I'm actually, not only am I doing this, I'm doing something else, and you guys know what I'm doing. I'm preparing for Comic-Con. And it's here. I didn't lose it. It's actually the part that goes here in the crotch part. I have to find it. It's here. I haven't lost it. So shut up. Once I find it, I will paint it, put it on, and it'll be done. But we're going to assemble this either way, because right now we need to move forward. Don't look back. Don't hold back. Move forward. And yes, many people are probably saying, why not stop the video and just go on the next one until you find it? No, I'm not that type of person. So, alright, let us begin assembly of the Cathedral Schwartzritter.